Don't you hate it when someone just doesn't acknowledge or understand how you're feeling?
Yeah, and they might just say, oh, just get over it, or do that eye rolling and things like
Yeah,
that.
or I've got much more on my plate than you have. What are you moaning about?
Exactly.
So that's what we'll be talking about in this week's episode of
Get Real with the English Sisters.
Thanks for joining us, and please do remember to hit that follow or subscribe button because it really makes a difference. It's really helping us grow.
It really is. So, right, yeah, what is it? What's the definition?
Well, I think it's when someone just invalidates your feelings, your emotions.
Yeah, emotional invalidation. It's awful, isn't it?
It's so bad because I know that we've all got different things going on in our lives, and we've all got different problems, and someone, might have some really serious
drama going on,
or a serious illness,
tragedy,
or a tragedy in the family or something. But I think we need to take care of our own personal emotions, though.
We do. We definitely do, because there is nothing really worse, I think, than not validating even to yourself. So
I think that's where you have to start with.
Validating your own emotions. So instead of just saying, oh gosh, I really need to get over this, what's wrong with me?
Or I'm an effing idiot, or
I'm so weak, I'm so feeble, why do I cry all the time? Just accept it, and say it's taking, instead of just thinking, why am I so weak? Just think, I'm a person that feels things in different ways, perhaps to my friends or to other people. Thus, it's going to take me a certain time to heal from whatever it was. And it doesn't mean it has to be some big deal. It could be anything. You could be grieving over anything, because the word grieving sounds like it just has to be associated to death. It might not be just death. It might be that you might even be grieving because you haven't reached a particular stage in your life where you'd want to be at. You might want to become a parent, for example, and you can't.
Right.
Or you might want to be already in a certain position in your life and you find that you're not. You could even be grieving that.
Yeah, and you could be really upset about that.
Yeah, because it's like grieving something that never was.
So someone else might say, why are you grieving that? You never had that in the first place.
Well, they wouldn't even use the word grieving, but they say, what's wrong with you? Just get over it. Okay, so what? You're not married yet. You haven't got a kid yet. Who cares? Get on with it. Let's go out and have a drink. And they're not, and they're just thinking, they're not.
They're not fully getting you, are they?
They're not getting you, but you have to get yourself first and understand that you are going through this.
Yeah, because I think if you don't take yourself seriously, no one else will either.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if someone just fobs you off and says, oh, that doesn't really matter, or I'm going through much worse than you, or they just start talking about their own problems.
Usually that's what happens.
Usually you might just stay quiet and think, oh God, they just don't get it, do they? They don't get me. But if you learn that you can say, yeah, hey, okay, we'll get round to you in a minute. And I'm going to listen to what you have to say as well. And I'm going to validate your feelings too. But this is how I'm feeling right now. And it's really important to me to be able to share this with you.
Yes, exactly. It's important for you not to invalidate my feelings. And I think once you have the vocab and you know how to express it verbally, then you're like, it helps because you understand what's going on and you know how to express it to other people in your family, to your friends. You know how to make yourself clear. I think it really, really does help.
It definitely helps because you can express yourself, and when you do, it also makes you feel better as well if you're listened to, because otherwise sometimes what can happen is that you end up shutting yourself down and you end up isolating yourself because you might feel a certain way, and your friends and your family maybe aren't listening to you, so you go the opposite way and you think, well, I'm just going to shut down kind of thing and just stay in my own company, and I'm not even going to bother going out with them or going to meet up with them because they're really just not getting me and they're not listening to me. Whereas if you kind of, I know it's difficult to stand up for yourself, especially if you're feeling vulnerable about it. But in the end, I think your friends and family, especially if they're real, friends,
yeah,
they will think, oh yeah, sure, sorry, yeah, I wasn't really
understanding your point of view.
I was just thinking now, a program that I was watching came to mind about this girl that was suffering from anorexia nervosa, and she was actually put into a clinic, and she was in hospital for a long time. And her brother, who was going through a lot of the time of his own personal stuff, the parents just weren't even bothered with him, because they were just saying, look, there's nothing, nothing compared to
you get
your
on with your right. Okay.
She nearly died, and everything was around the sister.
Yes.
And the friends as well, her friends,
all their
lives were just irrelevant, because there's something so much more serious going on.
Right, yeah.
So everybody was invalidating everyone else's feelings except for this girl who obviously
had a very serious problem, but
she had to have her feelings validated as well, surely. But that doesn't mean that other people that are going through different stuff shouldn't get the attention they deserve.
Yes, and it often happens with these kind of diagnoses, serious diagnoses like cancer, or like what you were saying, anorexia, whereas the carers and the rest of the people that are still suffering from the diagnosis,
they have like post-traumatic stress from it, don't they?
Yeah, but they're like, okay, you're not the one who's got this. So like, they say that to themselves. It's like, my smaller problems can't matter, surely, but they do matter.
Yeah,
they do matter. So do not invalidate your own feelings. Accept what you're going through. Even we've given these particular cases of,
quite serious,
very serious.
No, but the person.
It doesn't matter though.
The
it
other
could be
person in the family, they might not have a serious problem. They might not be able to give their homework in on time or something. Well, be worried sick about it.
Yes, and that's also
or they want their parents to go to the parent meeting and they're not going because they're worried about this other daughter. But for them, that's really important.
Yes, exactly.
So everything else goes like on the back burner. Doesn't it?
Yeah.
Or otherwise, in a more like something that might happen more often, even though most of us have someone with a chronic illness or
in the family, often it is
quite, or in the distant family or one of your friends. But if we want to talk about something that's not so serious, say that it could just be that you just have a friend that's like quite loud and wants all the time for you to listen to her or his or their problems.
Yeah, because they're always the problems that seem to be most important.
And it could be just dating or some that you might consider a frivolous thing, but for them it's important. So it always becomes like kind of their show. Yes. So it's always about them, and then you might think, oh no, I can't. How can I? I can't even speak up here because.
A lot of the time,
dominate the conversation.
Yeah,
they don't even realize.
They don't realize it, and a lot of the times, it's important to recognize that even if your feelings are being invalidated, it might not be for the person doing it. Might not have bad intentions.
No,
they might be saying, "All right, let's just get over it," and because that's all they know how to do. They're not used to. Showing all the signs of affection, or they just don't know how to verbalize it in another way. So I think, if you recognize that they're not doing it because they're cruel.
They're not doing it with intent.
Exactly.
Malicious intent.
Malicious intent. Yeah, I couldn't get around it now, but yes.
They're doing it subconsciously without realizing. That's why I think
they might think they're doing it for your own good.
Yeah, but that's why I think if you stand up for yourself and say, "Hey, I just need to sit with this for a minute, and I just need you to give me a hug or just listen to me."
Yes, yeah.
And and I know that I will get over this, and I'll be okay.
And thank you
for being there for me in this moment.
Yeah, I
think, and I think a lot of people
not being shy.
They won't be able to. Sometimes they're not able to just sit with you, but they'll offer you like, okay, then let's go and eat a big tub of ice cream together.
Yes.
Which might not be the healthiest option for you at that time, but it's because they don't know how to express.
They might say, "I'll come with you and do that." What do you have to do? They might be actually want to take an action together. That's their way. That's their way of saying, it's okay, I love you, but I don't know how to deal with this because you're expressing your emotions. They might not be used to it, and they just say, oh, it's all right, you'll get over it.
Because I think this thing about all these emotions, and it's quite a new thing, isn't it?
It's a new thing.
Because most
for
people,
years,
for years
people
and
have
years,
been...
we've been told to just shove them under the carpet.
Yes, and they have that's caused a lot of psychological distress. It's still going on throughout masses of generations. So this is a generation that is learning to say things like, hey, you're invalidating my emotions. I mean, if you said that 50 years ago, people say, what the hell are you talking about?
I think you were crazy.
Yeah, some kind of... but now if you can learn to say things like that, you've got to start with yourself first to validate your own emotions and realize that you're not being too sensitive. You're not too sensitive. You're just somebody that processes emotions in a certain way. Be proud of that. You're not being whatever it is, in all the circumstances. It's important for you to validate your own emotions, to realize that you're different from the next person.
And to know how you feel and how you want to live your life as well. Because if you feel as if you're a real introvert, and for you it's a really big deal, say, to go to someone's birthday party, and they're all saying, oh, come on, just get on with it. Come with us. Don't be a weirdo. Don't be this. Don't be, a party pooper or whatever.
Yeah, they're dismissing.
They're dismissing how you're feeling. Instead, if they sat with you and they said, well, I know how much it's a really big effort for you to have to do this, but, it would really mean a lot to so-and-so if you came. Do you think maybe you could just turn up at the end or at the beginning just to say hi? Or if you really don't feel, maybe send a card or something, send a good message. But I think if you acknowledge how someone's feeling, in the end they'll think, yeah, maybe I could do that. It kind of gives them courage, because
it gives them a lot of courage,
it makes them feel understood. So maybe they think, yeah, maybe I could, just go and do that just for a little bit, or turn up there, make that extra effort. I think, it's like a gentle...
Well, it's a way of connecting with somebody. It's a way of saying, I understand you.
Gentle nudge,
I might not understand what you're feeling, but I'm here for you. I see you. I can appreciate the fact that you're telling me this. And,
you might even just say, well, okay, what about if you came and then you just hung out in the kitchen and I'll come and be next to you for a bit?
In this particular case, if you don't like social occasions and they're... Yes, exactly. Yeah, that would be really sweet. Yeah. There are so many occasions where we invalidate our feelings all the time. I mean, these are things that, like what you said, people are not, even today.
And even before, all this partying and that, people didn't used to do all this partying. It's not really what humans like to do. We're like mammals, we're a bit like... like our pets, our dogs. The dogs go and party. No.
In the winter, what do you want to do?
You want to go and stay at home,
cuddling. Yeah, you want to be warm.
So
you validate your feeling.
You can say, it's normal for me to want to do this. It's an effort for me to have to do that, but I will do it because I know, it means a lot to someone, and maybe I can compromise and do something else. But I think it's just really taking care of yourself and just thinking about yourself and thinking, yes, what do I want to do?
Yeah.
What
starting to understand yourself a little bit more and what you're feeling. Understand your feelings.
Express how you're feeling as well.
Yeah, to learn to express and say, I am overwhelmed by this, I'm overwhelmed by that. And like what you say, it doesn't mean that, you might be going under financial stress and you might be thinking, gosh, that's really overwhelming. You go and tell somebody, I'm suffering from this and that, and I've got this, and they might say, well, that's nothing. I've got this, I've got a business, it all works.
Just get a loan, you'll be fine. Use your credit cards.
Exactly. Well, yeah. Not the best of advice, but yes, nobody knows.
Instead of saying, I know how stressful this must be, it must be really hard for you right now.
Yeah, those are exactly the words that, somebody might, wow, that's stressful.
Yeah.
And...
Is there any way I can help? Can I lend you some money?
Well, yeah.
Well, yes.
Yes, that's taking action.
That's taking action as well, because sometimes you need that as well
in
your life.
Yeah. So
I was watching the Take That, Robbie Williams, and he was saying how
I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, he was saying how terrible he suffered so much after he left Take That. He said he was very famous in Europe and in other countries, but he was so unloved because of what the press did to him in the UK. And he said he suffered from terrible, depression, addiction, and anxiety about performing. And
just remind me of what happened in the UK. I can't.
No, he was just part of Take That.
Yeah, no, I know that. And then
in the UK, they started demonizing him because he left.
Oh,
he wanted to leave.
Yeah, because he wanted to leave the band.
And then he started his own solo career. And then in Europe, we used to see him on Italy.
Yes,
on the X Factor he was on and things like that. And he was really popular here. But when he was in the UK, they were still demonizing him. And he said that he felt really, I suppose, invalidated.
Of course, they weren't just being the mean. Public wasn't understanding the fact that he wanted to.
I know. And this caused a massive crisis in him, emotional and depressive and terrible, really. And you just talked. The fact that he was talking about it openly in his documentary is
good, a big deal.
Because
it's
like I'm showing how I felt and how I was feeling over these years, and hopefully it'll stop people being so cruel and wicked, like people in power, like the press,
right? Yeah.
Just to sell newspapers and stop them getting away with, just trashing people, really. Yeah. Because
these
in the past they've been able just to trash people and just. This was acceptable. How
especially
could this
the
be
UK
acceptable?
press?
Yes.
Yeah, it's very bad. Yeah,
it's terrible, really.
Yeah. So, well, thankfully nowadays there are other means of communication.
You can speak up, but the actual person can speak up about it and say how terrible it was for them, because it's really awful.
Finally validate his feelings, even though it took a long time to do it. I suppose that's like a story of it's never too late, really. So you can always speak up about how you felt about a certain particular thing.
Yes,
you can always validate your feelings. It might be like a massive weight lifted off
your shoulders
when you finally think, well, you know what, that was really tough. What I went through and whatever it was. Yeah, it was obviously we're talking generally here. So yes, definitely. Validate your own emotions, understand your own feelings
I'm just
more.
Even thinking now about just something trivial, like years and years later, you may still be dreaming about your exams that you haven't handed an exam paper in or something.
Like anxiety dreams,
and that shows
and you're not
validating how
anxious
how traumatic
you were feeling.
And anxious it must have been for you at the time, and probably your subconscious mind is probably still trying to process that maybe in other areas in your life you're still going through some stress or anxiety, and it's coming out as that particular incident.
God, I hate those exams.
If you just validate how hard it was for you, and
if you're going through them now, just validate it and say
it's really tough.
This is tough, and that's why I'm feeling anxious, and understanding that you can like be kinder to yourself. I think more gentle.
You can still do everything you need to do, but you can acknowledge how tough it is for you to do it.
It's a particularly tough
moment. And it's a difficult
moment,
thing, and you're doing it anyway if you can do it. And if you can't do it, you get help, or don't do it. But acknowledge how you're feeling. I think that's half the battle.
Absolutely. Yeah. Definitely.
So
validate your feelings.
Do you think you've been too hard on yourself? I bet most of you have, because I think most of us are. We tend to dismiss our feelings and our emotions and just get on with it. And it's really important, I think, to acknowledge how you're feeling and then just say, and then when you... Because, most things in life are hard to do. And
there is suffering, a lot of the hardship.
Worthwhile things are really tough and difficult to do as well. But then when you've done them, you're really happy. But if you acknowledge the fact that it's a tough thing you're doing, and
You can appreciate how you're feeling.
It could be anything. It could even be just, leaving your house if you've got agoraphobia or whatever, getting out the door or going to see your friends. It could be
doing admin stuff. It's scary.
Anything.
Yeah, anything. You can say, wow, I've got to be brave. I understand I'm feeling scared, and not be ashamed of being scared. You're scared. You've got to fill in all these forms. You're scared of it. Just say, I'm feeling scared. Now I've got to be brave, either ask for help or try and figure this out myself.
But figuring out how to be an adult. I mean, when do you become an adult?
My goodness me, when do you become an adult?
I'm still thinking, I've still got...
I still want to hide under the blanket when I've got admin and stuff.
I've got stuff to do still. I mean,
still learning. I still think I've got to be brave,
when
do
this. When do you have to be, this adulting? It's
this
so
myth
tough.
Of the adult.
Yeah, the myth of the adult that we
It's a myth. Adults have it all sorted out. No, they don't. They certainly do not have it all sorted out. So it's step by step, day by day, validating your emotions and getting through it and understanding.
And living in the now, I think, helps too. So just sit in the now and say, it's going to be okay.
It's going to be okay.
Lots of love and smiles
from the English sisters.
Please remember to come and see us on YouTube too. And wherever you get your podcasts, you'll find us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.